It's August 1964. The muggy night air is thick with crickets and tree frogs. Two retirees sit on floral seat pads, slurping Tom Collins cocktails on a wraparound porch, entirely insulated from the world. This is how author Nathan Thompson opens Summer Night, City Adjacent, a standout editor's choice piece recently published in Freedom Fiction Journal. Through the casual, meandering dialogue of these two old-timers, Thompson efficiently roots us in a specific cultural moment. They swap gossip about local football talent and marvel at how Sidney Poitier is now the highest-paid actor in Hollywood. Yet, as they sit on their veranda, they casually brush off the massive social upheavals happening right outside their bubble, like the impending Nobel Prize for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Thompson uses these men as a cinematic Greek chorus. Their safe, privileged vantage point sits in deliberate, sharp contrast to the violent reality about to unfold just a few blocks down the avenue. Cut from the peaceful porch to the sound of shattering glass. Link, a black high school transfer student, and his eccentric white friend Tommy are cornered behind a defunct Sunoco station. Thompson builds a flawless geographical trap. The boys are pinned down by a drunken, racist mob of teenagers on one side and the Doberman guard dogs of a whites-only country club on the other. They are completely out of options. So how exactly does Thompson extract his protagonists from an inescapable turf war? Even with dozens of hostile locals bearing down on them, Link absolutely refuses to let Tommy call the police. We learn that just weeks prior, on the 4th of July, Link's older brother Douglas was brutally beaten by a police officer for smoking grass and chained to a bed at Freedman's Hospital. President Lyndon B. Johnson had just signed the 1964 Civil Rights Act into law, but out here on a dark neighborhood street, federal legislation offers zero immediate protection. To prove the lethal stakes to Tommy, Link points to the bodies of 3 civil rights workers found murdered in Mississippi just a day prior. For a black teenager in 1964, the authorities present a far greater threat than a gang wielding tire irons. Thompson brilliantly layers this macro-historical dread into the micro-tension of the alleyway. Right as the standoff reaches its peak, Thompson executes a jarring narrative pivot. We cut away from the dark street entirely, landing inside a brightly lit Tudor-style kitchen. Tommy has snuck over to a payphone to call his mother, Beverly. He interrupts her midnight drink to ask for exactly one piece of information, his blood type. Forcing the reader to leave a high-stakes confrontation for a scene of casual suburban domesticity makes you hold your breath. It skyrockets the tension. Beverly realizes the danger and marches into the den.
She orders Joey, Tommy's silent, violently pragmatic, all-met linebacker older brother, to put down his board game and go save his sibling. This cross-cutting delays the physical clash, setting an agonizing, masterful stage for Joey to finally step into the night. Joey arrives on the avenue limping but ready, precisely as the mob charges across the railroad tracks toward Link and Tommy. Right at the point of impact, Thompson deploys a massive sensory distraction. A deafening B&O freight train blasts through the intersection, blowing its air horn. The author deliberately obscures the actual physical combat. Instead of a blow-by-blow description, we only see Joey dismantling the mob in the chaotic, blinding strobe light flash. Masking the violence behind the roar and shadows of the locomotive turns a standard neighborhood brawl into a visceral motion picture experience. Once the train vanishes, silence returns. The remaining mob scatters, leaving a bloody, limping Joey to enforce a harsh, mutual respect with Link. Thompson then loops us right back to our Greek chorus on the porch. The old men hear distant sirens and laugh, assuming Tommy fled without throwing a punch. They sit there marveling at the horsepower of a passing 1964 Ford Mustang, utterly oblivious to the violent, shifting social dynamics playing out directly in their neighborhood. Summer Night, City Adjacent earns acclaim by taking the tight, suspenseful mechanics of a street fight and using them to perfectly map the fault lines of 1960s America.